Um, where do I start? Well, I'm a Romany gypsy. I was born in Manchester. We moved to Blackpool when I was about 3. Um, Stopped here for the winters. We had a house here, a farm here, and we stopped here for the winters, and then we would go and shift during the summer up and down the country. Thoroughly enjoyed my childhood. Spring, summertime. We'd be pulling up and down from England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. It was at a new place every other month, meeting new people every other month. It was kind of that life of the open highway, and I loved it. Yeah, wonderful childhood. When did I get saved? Well, when we moved to Blackpool when I was 3, my father got invited to a dedication in a church in Blackpool, the Gatehouse Church. Then it was called Blackpool Christian Centre. The pastor there at the time was a man called Jim Thompson, and my father got invited along to this dedication of another gypsy man, another gypsy man's child, and my dad went along, and he got touched by God, and he gave his life, and from there on, I was brought up in a Christian home because my mother followed suit not long after. She gave her life to the Lord, and really rapidly, my father got involved in ministry. He was an evangelist, and he was at a different church near enough every week, and so we spent a lot of our time in the car driving from church to church. He had the gift of healing, and so I saw every single week somebody get touched by God, somebody get healed. I saw loads of blind eyes see, load of deaf ears hear, all that sort of stuff, the miraculous. And so the question, is there a God, was never a question I never had to ask, because I saw him in action. The question that I had to ask myself is, do I know him? Do I have a relationship with him? And at the age of 7, I gave my life. We came back for that winter, and I got baptised in the same church that my dad gave his life in, Blackpool Christian Centre. And from there on, I started to follow him. I got into my teen years, and I thought the grass was greener on the other side. I've been brought up in church. Church had all I knew, and saw these people going out drinking and partying and things like that, and the grass looked greener on the other side. And so I backslid for a while. I did the rave scene, I did the drinking, I did the drugs, I did all the stuff that you do in that sort of world. But none of it ever satisfied me. I mean, the more I did it, the less I felt good about it. It felt like you was partaking of death in one sense, is that you do whatever you did on the night, and that night you'd probably be numb and you might half enjoy yourself, but the next day all your problems were still there, all your issues in life was still there, and so all the drink and the drugs and the things like that it just didn't satisfy me, because something I'd already knew what it was like to have the best thing that life could offer, which was a relationship with Jesus, and everything else was just not itching the scratch. And so a bit of a prodigal son situation. I came to my senses, I returned to the Father, and ever since then he has showed himself to be God time and again to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's always been easy. There's been ups, there's been downs, there's been hard times, there's been good times, but through it all and over it all, without a shadow of a doubt, God has been very, very gracious to me. God has been very, very faithful to me. He's been very, very loving to me. And as long as days I live, I'll never be able to thank him enough for all that he's done in my life. There's been absolutely a million ways that God has showed himself to be God in my life, how he's come through, how he's answered prayers and done wonderful things. I suppose one of the main ones that I can think of out of the many is not long after I got married to my wife Lisa, we started to try and have children, and 3 years in nothing was happening, and we was going to doctors and we was going to hospitals and stuff like that to see if we could get some sort of answer, some sort of cure. The issue was my wife's side, and this one time we went to Manchester, and the nurse said, we're going to have to give you a test just to make sure that you're not having a baby, because if you are, this new treatment that was going to start on her would have caused some major complications. And we'd had these tests loads of times, and we thought it was going to come back negative as the rest of them did. The nurse came into the room that we was in. She says, I don't know how to say this, but you're borderline pregnant. She says, how can you be borderline? There's no grey area. It's either you are or you aren't. So we started crying in the room, and she said, it must be that you're so early on that it's not proper showing up, and so you're going to have a blood test, because apparently there's a hormone that gets released in the bloodstream when you're having a child. That's going to be the only way to know for sure. So we came back. It was the longest 24 hours of my life waiting for these blood results to come back, and it came back positive that we was having our very first child, Judah. And beyond that, we then discovered that the doctors said that now once you've had this child, that everything else should sort itself out. And now we've got 3 healthy boys. I've got Judah, I've got William, I've got Moses, and we've got another one on the way, Luther. And now we've gone from one stage to the other. Now we're saying, now this is enough. Now we've had enough. So we've gone from praying and praying and praying for God to give us a child to the point now that we're so blessed. We're like, oh, it's time to say enough is enough, sort of thing. And so, and it had to have been God, because Lisa was on no treatment at the time. We'd gone there to start a new course of treatment. And so it was just amazing. There were so many people praying for us. We was praying obviously as well, and God heard our prayer.